It is Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, and it is also Veterans Day. So before I really get into this video, I do want to give a big shout out to everyone that has served and a big thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Without you guys, this really wouldn't be what it is today, and this country isn't what it would be today. So thank you very much. Getting into our weather conditions, we're going to take a real quick look here at our current winds. So looking at our RTMA analysis from 11:15, definitely seeing some pretty gusty winds kind of across the area. These are going to be our sustained winds. And you can tell they are blowing pretty much in from the southwest with these wind barbs here. So, we're seeing pretty much 15 to 20 mile an hour across the area. Do have some locations that are a little bit lower, but overall, that's kind of what we're seeing across the area. If we take a look at our wind gust, it is maxing out my color scale, which I need to fix, and this video will be a reminder of that. So, but we're really seeing quite a bit of gust here. We're seeing some up near 30 in northwest Arkansas and northeast Oklahoma, getting in southwest Missouri up towards like Newton, Jasper, and Lawrence counties. Really starting to push into the upper 30s, almost 40, 45 mile an hour winds. So definitely some pretty gusty winds. The good thing is this analysis is done at 10 meter height, so 30 to 33 feet. And a lot of times these winds aren't actually meeting it to the surface, but they are still pretty gusty. These winds are definitely going to be driving kind of a elevated fire danger in some areas. Taking a look at our fuel moisture, we definitely do have some lower areas. From Gateway to about Cassville, we're looking at 11 to 12% fuel moisture. And then up around Miller over towards Republic, definitely around 11-ish%. So definitely do see the fuel moisture kind of tapering off as that was in the upper teens earlier this morning. The good news is though, is when, in the afternoon when these fuel values really start bottoming out, hopefully our winds will start dying out, and that will kind of limit our peak fire danger. Taking a look at some of our sustained winds, definitely do still have some pretty decent gust. 33 at the Springfield Airport, 30 at the Monette Airport. Out at Joplin's Airport, it looks like we got 29. Out by Miami, we got 32. So definitely still some pretty gusty winds across the area. So what is causing all these winds that we are now having? So basically, welcome to weather. This is kind of what we do and try to figure out what's going to happen. So taking a look at our surface analysis from 6 a.m. this morning, kind of do have this kind of high pressure over here in the southeast, and that kind of is bringing in kind of some winds kind of like this, and clockwise or high pressure does spin clockwise, and then low pressure spins counterclockwise, which you may note we do have this low pressure that's in the Texas Panhandle here, along with this secluded front from southeast Kansas down through Oklahoma and western Texas. So basically, we're having all these winds just kind of come in and kind of collide and really start pushing, especially with this advancing warm front that we have in the Midwest. Seeing quite a bit of winds blowing along or blowing perpendicular to this cold front here and kind of pushing this warm front through the Midwest. So that's kind of on a larger synoptic scale. So taking a look at kind of an analysis that does have a little bit better data on it, we definitely can note a few things. So switch this over to blue to highlight some of, or correction, we'll go to red to highlight some of our low pressure systems. So we have this one we talked about here in the Texas Panhandle. Do also kind of have this one up towards like the Wisconsin and Minnesota, Iowa area. And then we do still have that high pressure system down here in the southeast, which would be way far off the screen. But that kind of gives us a baseline of kind of what we're seeing. So between these two low pressure systems, we're really not seeing a ton of wind, at least, up into central Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas panhandles, up into, southwest Iowa, southeast Nebraska. Kind of highlight that area kind of in blue here to kind of, because they'll be used later on. So we kind of have all that occurring, but then you get out a couple hundred miles ahead of this and you really start having, more of these gusty winds that are kind of getting drove by these, just the overall dynamics of the atmosphere at the moment. So with all of this kind of occurring, we have this high pressure system that's bringing in fairly decent winds in from the southeast. Luckily, those do have fairly decent fuel or humidity with them. And then we have the low pressure system bringing in, pretty gusty winds from the southwest that are a little bit lower in our humidity. So luckily for us, having that high pressure system driving in those winds is kind of keeping our relative humidity fairly higher. And that's kind of limiting the overall fire danger for today, because we are actually, luckily we are having higher humidity values, or we'd really have some kind of crazy fire weather conditions if it was just these winds from the southwest. That's why a lot of times in events like this, Oklahoma and Texas get higher fire danger than those of us in Arkansas and Missouri do. So that is kind of that. We've kind of advanced through here. I'm going to switch this over to Gus just to give us a decent idea. So note this kind of blank area that I kind of was talking about. This is the same time. And so we're going to kind of push ahead. This is noon. Hopefully the video comes out a little bit after noon. But, like I said, kind of still do have pretty decent gusts. So this can be kind of where you're seeing these brighter colors that are going to be your low to mid 40s in terms of wind. And then as we kind of push through the afternoon, those winds do kind of push off as, these low pressure systems try to push off to the west, off to the east. And then we get to around 4, and we're really starting to see it kind of clearing out. We hit 5, and basically the winds just disappear. And that's fairly typical with these types of events. So luckily, like I said, don't have a whole lot of overlap between extremely low fuel moisture values, low humidity, and gusty winds to create a big fire danger. But still do have something kind of to keep an eye out on just in case. Just don't burn. I don't think I really need to preach on that today. So like I said, just be cautious. Watch your head if you're going to be outside working under trees, etc., stuff like that. But with that, I think that's going to be a wrap on this video. Just kind of wanted to give a overview on kind of what we're having with our wind conditions. If you guys don't follow Woolly yet on Facebook, please do. I believe now it's not like, it's follow on the page. So make sure to hit follow on the page and then like the video. If you're watching on another platform such as YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button for the video as well. Every little bit of interaction helps build the page, and I'm really trying to kind of keep it going and growing wise, because it's kind of stalled out here the last couple of months. So, but with that, that's going to be a wrap on this video. Thank you guys for watching, and the veterans that are watching, thank you again for your sacrifice and your service. That is it. Have a good one. Enjoy your Tuesday.